I give the call to the member for Corrine.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. It's a great privilege to stand here and make what is my inaugural speech as the member for Corrine. But can I begin by commending you on your appointment as Acting Speaker and on your excellent inaugural speech in the last sitting. Can I also take the cue from the member for Maylands and request a preemptive extension?
Extension granted.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Mr Speaker, on the 21st of November 1948, a young man stepped off an old cruise liner, the Toscana, and onto the decking at the port of Fremantle. He was 17 years old. He had almost no money and spoke barely a word of English. Having grown up in wartime Italy, he had no formal skills or qualifications at all. Indeed, the war had forced him to leave school at the age of 8 to make a living bartering olive oil for cigarettes. That young man's name was Armando Staltari, not my grandpa, or as those of us of Italian stock, a growing cohort welcomely call them, my nonno. But for all the things that he didn't possess, he did have one thing, the only thing in the end that really mattered: determination. He had a quiet, fierce determination to seize the opportunity granted to him by this strange new land and to start a new life. And that's what he did. He used dynamite, that the Hansard can record that as an interjection from Eleanor Staltari. He used dynamite to blast a citrus orchard out of 10 acres of the bare bushland in the Perth Hills, each acre bought for something like £50 at the time. He worked 2 other jobs while running that orchard. By night he was a barista at a cafe on William Street, and by day he was in the maintenance gang at Bristol. His Australian-born co-workers had never met an Armando before, so they called him Jim, and the name stuck. He recalled to me only ever being out of work once, for reasons beyond his control, and unperturbed, he cracked on. He had another job the next day. Most importantly, he met a beautiful young woman, Lina Monaldi, at an English language night school in Midland. They were something of star-crossed lovers in that Lina was from the north of Italy and Armando, who was a stocky, dark-haired Calabrian, was from the south. But they defied any old country scepticism and got married. Together, they raised 6 children, including my dad, Walter. But not without challenge. One day, while doing an odd job for a local doctor, Armando was asked if he knew that his 6-month-old son Enzo, who was playing in the corner, had Down syndrome. He and Lina had never even heard of Down syndrome. In a less charitable age, the advice they received from some quarters was to put Enzo into a home, out of sight and out of mind. But of course, Lina was having absolutely none of that. He was their son. And over the full 53 years of my Uncle Enzo's time with us, long before meaningful disability support, they made one sacrifice after another to give him the life of dignity and love that he deserved. Through all this time, Armando scrimped and saved to send his kids to good schools. He made small investments to build modest wealth and self-fund his and Lina's retirement. By the sweat of his brow, he came here and gave his children and grandchildren a life he never could have dreamt of for himself. And now, at the sprightly age of 94, measuring in at about 5 feet tall, Armando Staltari is the cherished patriarch of a bustling, happy family that grows with each passing year. I count it among the great honours of my life to be able to make this speech here, and I count myself doubly blessed to know that he's watching from home online, while so much of the family that he raised is here today. I've gone into so much detail, Acting Speaker, because although it's the custom for us to share a bit about our own lives in our inaugurals, I genuinely couldn't imagine doing that without first sharing the far more important story of the people who made all of that possible and the great country that let them do it. I learnt that story growing up on the citrus orchard that I mentioned before. Every day at 5 o'clock sharp, my sisters and I would scurry along a winding, stony path between the lemon trees and through the back door into Nonna's kitchen, where fresh pasta and her loving smile waited every time. It was an idyllic childhood, the sort you only really appreciate long after the moment has passed. And we'd have dinner there, and with it we'd have many conversations about our family and where they'd come from. Ralph Waldo Emerson observed that every man is a quotation from all his ancestors. My nonno's journey has remained fixed in my mind through my entire life. More than anything else, it has shaped my worldview, my sense of what is right and of what this country at its best can be. To me, his story embodies the promise of Australia and of this great state, the magic of the country we love. A nation in which, whatever your background or heritage or starting position, if you apply yourself and stretch yourself, you can achieve genuinely anything. Hard work, aspiration, reward for effort, family. Those are my non-Aus values. They are Liberal values. And over those many evenings at that dinner table, they became my values too. I believe in smaller government and greater opportunity. I believe that the great engine of our national prosperity has always been the free market, and that we forget this at our peril. I believe that the people who strive, who work the extra hour, go the extra mile, who take a risk to start a business and employ others, that they should be rewarded, not punished. I believe that it's deeply wrong for everyday Australians to be saddled with a rising tide of red tape and taxes while they watch their living standards go backwards. I believe that the family is the fundamental building block of our society, and that while government can support thriving families, it must never seek to replace the family. I believe that we live in the best state, in the best country on earth, truly. And I believe that those who aspire to lead should think that too, that they should take pride in Australia, not talk it down. But above all else, what I believe is that today, in 2025, those values are more important than ever. It's what drove me to join the Liberal Party while I was at university. It's what makes me proud to call myself a Liberal and to have always done so, whatever the political flavour of the moment. Knowing where my family came from, Liberal values always made sense to me. And as I got older and came to understand our national history, the party's founding mission stood out. Menzies established the Liberal Party in a particular moment and for a particular purpose: to be the last best bulwark against the creeping tide of socialism and state control in Australia. And at their best, Liberal governments, state and federal, have championed the freedoms that every Australian should enjoy. They've tilted the policy needle away from command and control and unshackled the drive, creativity and skill of the Australian people. They've had the back of the battler and the striver, the people who strike out to get their own opportunity and in the process make opportunity for others. And they've done all this while being custodians of our national heritage and values, and ensuring that in this rapidly changing world of ours, we don't forget who we are. One of the most heartening aspects of the recent campaign was coming to understand just how deeply those values resonated with many of the people who I count as my neighbours and now my constituents in Corrine. It would be easy to wax lyrical about the physical features of the electorate I'm privileged to represent. It's fair to say in Corrine we're spoilt with one beautiful beach after another, from Medham's Pool in North Beach up to Sorrento. And that further inland, we have some of Perth's most beautiful parks and reserves on our doorstep, most notably the much-loved, well-used Corrine Open Space and Star Swamp. But as with any of our communities, it's the living, breathing people who make it what it really is. And in many ways, Corrine is full of people living their own version of the Australian dream. It's home to older people who've worked hard and are enjoying the fruits of their labour in later life and early retirement. And it's home to aspirational younger people who've saved up to buy there because they know it's a wonderful place to raise a family. They're small and medium business people. They're tradies and professionals. They love our Western Australian way of life. You will find fishing boats and caravans on nearly every street. You'll find silver salties taking a chilly morning dip at Sorrento Beach each morning, and you'll find our sporting fields packed to the gills each weekend. They take pride in their homes and their decent, friendly neighbours. They're active in their community. There's a good reason that so many of the local groups that underpin local life are among the biggest and most vibrant in the state, from the Corrine Cats to the Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club to the North Beach RSL. They work hard to get ahead. They want to know government's there for them when they need it, but otherwise they just want to get on and live their lives. And they love Australia. They love it with a quiet, unassuming but very real patriotism. And nowhere is that more evident than in the vast crowds that throng to Charles Riley Reserve each Anzac Day in solemn remembrance of the greatest Australians. That these people have put their trust in me is not an honour I take lightly. My commitment to them on their doors as a candidate is one I intend to honour as their Member of Parliament, to be an active, visible, accessible representative. The sort they don't always need to book a meeting in to see. The sort who doesn't just appear at election time. An MP that they'll bump into in the aisle of the local shops or on the sidelines of Saturday sport. An MP who will make himself available to them on their doorstep or hosting town halls and coffee catch-ups. An MP who calls the same community home, who has the same stake in the quality of their schools, the safety of their roads and the security of their neighbourhoods as they and their children do. That's the MP that I commit to being, and I will leave it to the good people of Corrine to judge my performance. But beyond what I hope to do locally, like many of us here, what I'm excited about in this place is the opportunity to have a meaningful policy impact on the direction of our great state. And my brief is very simple. I would like to do what I can to help keep WA's prosperity going. That starts with backing our resources sector. Before entering Parliament, I had the good fortune of working in the mining sector, and my time there was more than just professionally fulfilling. It left me with a profound appreciation for how lucky we are to call WA home. So much of the wealth and opportunity that 3 million Western Australians enjoy flows from the resources beneath our feet and from the grit and ingenuity of the people who work around the clock to unearth them. But for years now, the Green Left has waged war on the mining and energy sectors. It is the height of insanity that just as we face national economic headwinds and geostrategic uncertainty, some would seek to cut these sectors off at the knees. Of course we want these industries to meet community expectations, but today the single biggest threat to this crucial piece of our economy, to the tens of thousands of good-paying jobs and the billions of dollars of royalties that go with it, is a suffocating regulatory and legislative framework that seems more interested in stopping projects than upholding standards. The solution is not increasing the complexity of heritage and environmental legislation, as we saw in the recent Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act or the mooted nature positive laws. A future Liberal government must cut red and green tape, resist the return of militant unionism to the Pilbara and help our state seize the opportunities that critical minerals have in store. But if our mineral wealth is one of our great assets, I'll agree with many of the previous speakers that of course there's one which is more important, and that is our people. We should all aspire to live in a state where every child can achieve their full potential, yes, for their own good, but also for the betterment of our whole society. And central to that is a world-class education system. I'm deeply grateful to the Leader of the Opposition for appointing me as the Shadow Minister for Education and Early Childhood. As Liberals, we want every child to have access to a quality education that gives them the best start in life, whatever their circumstance. We want every teacher, educator and school leader to be safe, fairly paid and respected at work, and to be able to get on with the job they signed up for, which is educating the next generation, not wading through mounting paperwork. And we want every parent to have genuine choice in the type of school that is best for their child. As a start, we must arrest the slide in education outcomes, most crucially in the core areas of reading, writing and numeracy. In 2025, in this prosperous state, it is simply unacceptable that the most recent NAPLAN data revealed nearly 30% of WA students cannot read or write or solve a math problem at the basic level expected of their age. These core skills must be front and centre in well-run, well-funded schools if we're to do the right thing by the next generation. And the next 4 years will present the opposition with the opportunity to listen carefully, consult widely and devise policies that do that, and I know all of us on this side of the House are looking forward to it. As others have said, Mr. Speaker, Acting Speaker, there are far too many people to thank individually, but I will single a few out. Of course, I'll begin by thanking my family, my loving parents, Maureen and Walter, for giving my sisters and I every opportunity. My sisters, Brooke and Neve, for their love and support. My amazing parents-in-law, Faye and Colin Powley, who are watching online from the United Kingdom, and in particular Faye, for signing on for the full 100 hours in that hot car park at early voting. And to Ed, Ali and Daniel in our growing tribe. To my hard-working volunteer campaign committee, led by Campaign Chair Michael Hayden, Manager Riley Thomas, Treasurer Martin Noakes with the support of Coben Foster and Christine Hamilton Prime. To my dear friends and confidants, Aidan Depiazzi and Dean Wicken. To the wider Liberal Party organisation, which goes above and beyond in service to our cause. To State President Caroline De Russo, State Director Simon Morgan, Deputy Jessie Watton and the entire head office team, thank you. To the former members for Corrine, Tony Kristovich and Katie Hodson-Thomas, both of whom have been sources of wise advice and who I'm very grateful to have here with us today. And can I also acknowledge and thank my good friend, the Honourable Joe Francis. And of course, we all rely on our volunteers. Thank you to the army of volunteers who gave up their time, their energy and their money to help us win back Corrine for the Liberal Party. Many of them are in the gallery today, and while I cannot name you all, please know that I'm thinking of you all, and you have my sincere gratitude. The person who I'll save my final thanks for is my beautiful wife, Liz. Liz, thank you for jumping headfirst into this roller coaster life that we've chosen. Thank you for the patience and endless understanding and support, and for the many sacrifices I know you make to let me pursue this vocation. And thank you most importantly for already being such a wonderful mum to our baby girl Eleanor, who is suspiciously well behaved. Watching you take so naturally to motherhood these last few weeks has reminded me of all the reasons I'm lucky to have you by my side. Becoming a father and a member of Parliament in the same short few weeks has been a very clarifying experience. And like a lot of parents or new parents who are still working during the day, my last stop on the way out the door, including this morning, is to Ellie's bassinet, where at that time of the morning, whatever manner of rascal she was during the night, she's always asleep. She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And in closing, Mr. Speaker, I'll return to where I started, because when I wrote this speech, it occurred to me I would have the good fortunes of having 4 generations of my family here to hear it. My nono, my dad, my siblings and me, and of course, at 4 weeks old yesterday, little Ellie, though I'm not pretending she's paying any attention. It's a wonderful privilege for that to be the case. But it also reinforced a point that the Chief Justice made when he swore all of us in at the start of this 42nd Parliament. His Honour observed that, quote, "The power with which we've been entrusted is not our own. We are simply its temporary custodians and are responsible for exercising it for the benefit of the community as a whole." I think we would all agree that is very true. And I'm conscious that whatever the lengths of our respective parliamentary careers, even the longest in the unfolding history of this state, are going to be quite brief. We all carry the torch of self-government for a moment and then we pass it on. It's up to each of us to do the best with the time we have and to ensure that when we walk out of this chamber for the last time, we leave to future generations a state and country genuinely better off than when we first walked in. And with little Ellie on my mind, I promise to make that my lodestar for however long the people of Corrine send me to represent them in this place. I will end by thanking them again for this great honour. I will never take it for granted and I will not let them down. Thank you.